If your fashion wish list lives rent-free in your brain, you need to be on Poshmark. With Poshmark, you're shopping millions of listings from thousands of closets, each curated by someone with their own style. Vintage finds, designer pieces, and everyday staples all in one place. Search for your favorites or let the discovery come to you. Poshmark makes it easy to find what you actually want to wear at prices that feel like a quiet win. Download the Poshmark app today and use code PODCAST10 when you sign up to get $10 off your first purchase.
911, what's the nature of your emergency?
Welcome back to the Tactical Living Podcast. I'm your host, Ashlie Walton, joined by Sergeant Walton. Clint, how are you?
I'm really good.
You know, I have a best friend who, when we had seen him earlier this year, the very first thing that I did was I grabbed his phone so I can look at his Oura Ring app so that I can dispute his conversations with me about sleep versus what the data was telling me. Because he's had so many things go on. And I, you know, as a loving friend, I want to help to be able to support him. And I don't think that people take their sleep and sleep deprivation as seriously as they should, especially when you work in law enforcement.
I think, and that's something that we've always, you know, we really say sleep is one of the most priority things on a daily basis for us because it sets up your days every day to be able to feel good or feel bad. And that's where when you don't prioritize it, you get into this like normal of, oh, I just feel tired all the time. I'm replacing that with energy drinks, with coffee, which always intaking that caffeine and trying to artificially boost your levels of energy.
Yeah, I have another friend who we're like brotherly and sisterly towards one another. And he always, almost every day, will send me a picture of something or a meme or something to do with energy drinks. And I sent him a video message when he did it one day this week, just telling him like, it's literally just because I love your life. And we can have fun about it and be light about it. But the truth is that I will die on that hill in sharing with people that when we are doing anything in excess, people don't necessarily consider overdosing when it comes to things like caffeine. But if you look at the effects that it's having on your body, you know, even Clint, I shared this with you when people drink alcohol and then they wake up the next morning and they are hung over. Another word to say hung over is actually you OD'd. You literally OD'd on alcohol if you wake up the next morning and you're hung over.
Yeah. And I think when you start taking anything in excess and I hear the argument all the time, well, one a day is not going to be bad for me. And it's not that it's just one a day is bad for you or not. Like everyone's going to argue that. I think you become so reliant on it that you cannot function without one. And I'll be honest with you. Like I'm a prime example. Like I need my morning coffee. Like I need my coffee to wake up in the morning to kind of get moving, but then I'm good the rest of the day because there's the addiction of caffeine. There's that. And that's where the same thing as like you were saying when it comes to the hungover, the OD effect associated to that, because you truly are. Same thing goes with drinking caffeine in the morning and towards the afternoon when that caffeine wears off, you have that crash where you're tired. You're like, okay, it's ready. I'm ready for a nap. And instead of, you know, getting that rest that you need, you intake more caffeine because you're crashing instead of getting your body the rest that it needs.
Yeah, it's really interesting too when you think about it, because I have another friend who is not unique in this, who he and I were sharing in the conversation of having the ability to drink coffee and then go to bed, take a nap for like 20 minutes later. And we know that you don't need things like coffee in the morning when you have Clint, somebody like you who, I need my coffee. I drink it every morning. And then someone like me, to where you've seen countless times, I may take one sip of coffee and then I don't want any more for the rest of the day.
Yeah. And it's figuring out like what works for you and you have those days, like we love our coffee time and we have that time and space. And I think it's a lot more of it comes down to is having that time, just being that sense of calm leading into the day.
Yeah. And two, it's habit, right? And I think that a lot of people don't recognize that when it comes to chronic sleep deprivation, this impacts your mind, your body, your marriage, your career, everything that you are living inside. It can be impacted when you are suffering from chronic sleep deprivation. And we also have neurocognitive degradation, which causes all of these issues in our life. And
when you don't get the amount of rest and sleep that you need on a regular basis, you start seeing this. It turns into a pattern for you where you're like, well, I just feel like this all the time. It's like my best thing of thinking about it is like, oh, you have a pain that pain's been there for as long as you can remember, and say you stub your toe and it's just your toe's been hurting, and it could be broken, could not be, but it's always constantly hurting, and you grow so accustomed to it that it's like when that pain's there, it's like, well, it's there and it's not going away, but you accept that pain, and then all of a sudden when that pain goes away, you're like, is something wrong? I don't feel this anymore. Like it's a weird kind of feeling.
I'm thinking about Derek Chauvin right now because there's another push right now for a call of people wanting him to be pardoned. And it got me thinking about how we have all of those hit pieces that we see on social media of these officers lashing out, or like whatever the cases that, the footage went viral for. And I'm thinking about how a lot of those times when I've seen different instances like that, of course, mental health is always top of mind, like something that I'm wondering what's going on in their mind, what's going on in their personal life, in their marriage, how are their kids, like all of those things. But another thing that I think about that I don't think a lot of first responders consider for themselves is that you have so much irritability and emotional volatility that is so disproportionate to the situation when you are sleep deprived.
Yeah, I mean, that's like when we're kids growing up, you see parents like, oh, they haven't had a nap today, because you can see how cranky that kid is. And when the kid gets a nap, they're not cranky, but you see that crankiness associated to it, especially even in childhood, because they haven't had the extra rest that they needed.
I know for me, something that I know is such a powerful asset for myself, something that I condition and I really nurture is actually my mind. And I know that I have a very sharp mind, and that's something that I always strive to be able to maintain. And so for me, whenever I know that I'm lacking sleep, I know that my personal contributing factor that's very evident for me is difficulty concentrating or being able to make clear decisions under pressure.
Yeah, and especially in the first responder realm, like if you're not getting the rest you need on a regular basis, it could lead to slower response times. It could lead to not being able to make those split second decisions as fast as you need to. Like especially in that realm, it's it's milliseconds where we have to make these decisions and act on them, where if you have that sleep deprivation or you're not clear-minded because you didn't get enough rest, it's something where it could inhibit that response. It's something thinking about like investigating a DUI. One of the questions that you ask in the DUI, well, when's the last time you slept? Like you have all these investigative tools when you're investigating someone who committed a crime, but if you're not taking and maintaining that for yourself, it leads to a long-term issue for you.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because decision making is so compromised in ways that create this real risk. And a lot of people don't even consider that, they think of the tactical strategies that they can impose on their day to be able to create safety. But if you got 4 hours of sleep last night for whatever reason, then none of that could matter if something, is going on with you that's causing a deterioration in your cognitive thinking process.
Well, that's why I think it's so important. Like, also, say it's out of your normal to not have that full 8 hours or 6 hours, whatever you get on a regular basis, whatever's your normal, not being overly hard on yourself for it and being so upset and frustrated at it to where it kind of sends you on a downward spiral. It's accepting it. It's like, okay, how can I improve upon this? Like there's something that I think of on a regular basis. You see someone says, oh, I would sacrifice absolutely anything to get more sleep. And then you ask them, well, what time did you go to bed? Oh, midnight. Well, what time did you wake up? 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Well, why don't you go to bed at 8? Oh, I don't want to do that. And it's a habit forming ritual that you have to get into when it comes to it.
Yeah, and I think that we need to begin addressing sleep deprivation before it becomes something that is irreversible. And one of the ways is to just treat sleep like a tactical priority and not this personal preference. Because the truth is that our rest is a performance tool. It's not a survival one. So in the example that you just gave, Clint, you can have somebody who had those 4 hours of sleep. Okay, they're treating that like a survival tool. Or you can have somebody like us who, regulates 7 to 8 hours of sleep on a regular basis. That is a performance tool. We rest because we want to be able to perform at our peak levels.
Yeah, and I think when you start looking at it from that way, it's like, everyone goes to the gym all the time. They go out, work out their body, train their bodies, build that muscle, stay in shape, burn the fat, plug in whatever it means to you to work out. And they spend that time doing that at the gym. When's the last time you actually prioritized your sleep like you do going to the gym?
Yeah, and Psalm 127 was written for the person who's forgotten that rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. I hope you've gotten some value out of today's episode. If you have, do us a favor, drop a review, subscribe down below, and as always, know that I'm sending you a long, tight hug from my home to yours.